Firstly, congratulations on qualifying for the major. What were your expectations going into the RMR?
Our expectations for the RMR was to qualify. I know a lot of people saw us as underdogs and probably not making it, but as soon as we saw our group and knowing what we've done in practice lately, we were 100% to qualify almost. Like, it would have been a real disappointment if we haven't.
Despite the 3-2 scoreline, you had the second best map difference and were the third highest rated team. Do you feel like the scoreline you qualified on is deceiving of how well your team played?
I mean, maybe a little bit, because we had two very close games against FaZe and BNE Eagles. We could have won both. We had a really good CT side versus FaZe. Then we kind of started to choke on the later half of the CT side and the T side. And the same against BNE. We saw how close we were to the finish line, and we felt that we just choked after we watched the game. Like, it was like, sure, they played well, but we knew that the reason why we lost is because we choked.
After such a close loss to Bad News Eagles, what was the mood like knowing each game from that point would be an elimination game?
I actually think the loss strengthened our heads in a way. Like, after the game against Benny Eagles, we were like demolished. We felt like we had that game, and now we're 1-2 instead of 2-1. And it was really hard to sleep that night. But when we woke up the next morning, we knew that this was elimination, and we knew we could play so much better, and everyone stepped up.
There are many teams in the RMR with a lot more major experience than Apex. That being said, both Stico and JKM have played in major playoffs. How important were they in helping to cope with the pressure?
Actually, I think everyone was committing to like the pressure and stuff. There was not an individual or two players that already played the majors that felt more in control than others. We helped each other to cool us down one by one. So everyone did a great job on that.
Kixon joined the team at the end of 2022 as a relatively unknown player to most. What is it about his style of leadership that made him the correct pickup?
He really suits the way Kixon calls is that he really suits the individuals, I would say. Before that, we had more like less control individually. It was way more stricter. Now we have a lot more control in our individual plays. He's a great young caller. It's amazing what they've done for the team so far, and I don't know. There's not much to say. It's just doing great.
This is your first major and the final major in CS:GO. How much did it mean to you personally to qualify?
It actually felt amazing. It was such a relief. I was supposed to play the major with NIP, but then COVID hit. I think it was Rio major in 2020. It was supposed to be. When we qualified, I was so happy. Like, it was. I've never felt that feeling in CS:GO before, and it was amazing to be able to play the last major for CS:GO.
Yourself, Crims, Rez, Brolin, and Isaac are the only players from Sweden at this major. This representation has dropped significantly over the last few years. Why do you think that is?
I think the biggest problem with the Swedish scene right now is that we don't really have any lower tier teams than. I mean, we barely have NIP. We barely have like a real Swedish team anymore. But before, back in the day, we had Godsent, we had like Red Reserve. We always had like a pickup team before the big ones. But we don't really have that anymore, and I think that's one of the problems so hard for the younger people to show up, because 5 young players, like, most likely won't be able to reach the heights that we had before. It was much easier when it was like one by one going up, but doesn't exist anymore.
You faced Liquid in the first game of the Challengers stage. Is this a good matchup for you?
I think it's pretty decent. Like, of course, it's a hard matchup. It's a strong team, but we know that the major is gonna be tough anyway, so we're gonna do our best. We haven't thought that much about the matchup, just that we have to play our game and be on point.
Finally, what are your expectations for the major?
Our expectations for the major is just to play our game and not choke. Like, play as good as we can. We know we can be, during practice and just show what we got, and simple as that. Just play our game and do our best.